Hello, I'm BJ Finn, and I would like to add my greetings and welcome you to this fantastic event. It's hard to believe NNOA is celebrating its golden anniversary, 50 fantastic years. I would imagine NNOA is older than many of our attendees that are at the conference today. What a great organization. We've withstood the test of time. NNOA is good for the Navy, the Marine Corps, and the Coast Guard, and the Department of Defense. Initially, I looked at the organization as providing survival training because we didn't have a lot of mentors that looked like us. The professional development, the educational training, warfare and civilian community interaction, and this year some historical information from the trailblazers will definitely make you more competitive. So make this a week of learning. I mentioned trailblazers. Many of them are not here. Ask us old-timers about them. Guys like Bill Norman, Gordon Fisher, Norm Johnson, and Gordon is here. Norm Johnson, Byron Wiley, Bob Toney, Eddie Benford, Charlie Tompkins, Pete Tomes, Ed Gilchrist, Edith Haynes, Ed Seacrest, Otis Brooks, Carlos Campbell, Judge Fauntleroy, Emery Emerson, Claude Williams, Emmanuel King. So many superstars that made a difference and whose names I just didn't have time to read. Under the leadership of Admiral Harris, I know the NNOA will continue to flourish, grow, and fulfill its commitment of recruiting, professional development, and retention. Recommend you dream big, you stay safe, you enjoy. God bless.
Hello, I'm Admiral Paul Reason, and I offer greetings to the National Naval Officers Association at the 2022 Symposium for the culmination of 50 years of focused and dedicated service to our Navy. 50 years ago, I was at sea. I was an electrical officer on USS Enterprise, our nation's first nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. That wardroom numbered 400 officers from both ship's company and the air wing. The crew was over 6,000 sailors, and I was the only black officer, and there was no female officer. Those days are no more, due in significant measure to the tireless efforts and involvement by NNOA. As the Navy's first African-American four-star admiral, trust me when I say congratulations are in order to NNOA for 50 years of service to our nation. Thank you.
Well, good evening. I'm sorry I can't be with you tonight. The 50th anniversary of NNOA is a huge deal, and I wanted to say thanks to Sink Harris, Tom Abernathy, and so many others that I've known, actually many of whom I've known since they were junior officers, and have been, in this space and advocating for the kind of efforts that have really made a difference for a long, long time. So to Sink and your team, thanks for all you've done. I know you focused incredibly hard over the years on recruiting and retention and career development, all of which, quite frankly, goes together. In fact, I think if you get the retention piece and the career development piece right, recruiting should take care of itself, although efforts always need to continue there as well. And it's been a matter of great personal pride from my perspective to be involved as a leader, in some of these activities. I've been around for more than these 50 years, and while we certainly made a ton of progress, there are still miles to go. I don't have to I don't have to spend a lot of time on what's happened in our country in the last few years, certainly since George Floyd in 2020. And one of the messages is, while we've done a lot, we've still got an awful lot to do. And so your continued leadership here and the wisdom, the knowledge, the engagement, the time, it's hard to know when you invest like this what the long-term impact's going to be, but it has been extraordinary, and I think it will continue to be extraordinary. One of the principles that guides my life is you have to give to get, and when I've been fortunate enough to be able to give, I've always gotten back a great deal more. So you should enjoy this celebration, its successes, its challenges, its results. And a lot of the results are sitting in the room and should be celebrated. But once we've done that, there's an awful lot of work to do down the road. And it's up and down the chain of command. And it's throughout our services and, quite frankly, throughout our country. And the example that you set in that regard and the care and love of our country and service to our country is a really important message. Always, but particularly at this particular time as we're struggling as a country in many, many ways. So again, thanks. I'm sorry I can't be with you. I know you'll have a great time. It's a really critical mission, and I know that you will keep it up. And I look forward to continuing to participate as I can help as we move down the road together to face the challenges that are so important for our services and for our country. Thanks to all of you. God bless our sea services, and God bless each and every one of you, and God bless the United States of America.
First thing I'd like to say is a happy birthday to the National Naval Officers Association. Most affectionately for us, it's called NNOA. And talk about how I fit into the main goals of NNOA from its inception, and that is of recruiting, retaining, and career development for African Americans and minorities within the naval services, meaning the Coast Guard, the Navy, and the Marine Corps. It is especially important to me because it was through NNOA that I found my way of how to exist in an organization was historically conservative and very few minorities. In particular, the Marine Corps was the last of the military organizations to integrate, where we saw the Moffett Point Marines in their struggle titled Fight for the Right to Fight. So when I joined the Marine Corps, there was a very few of the pioneers that provided a way of how to integrate into an organization from a warfighting perspective and understand how this diversification, the inclusion, would occur. There were very few of senior African Americans. Frankly, there were no African American admirals or generals in the Marine Corps when I joined. Hence, it was the pooling of those that recruited to be the integration of the military that I was a part of. And in our first years of the early 70s, I discovered the National Naval Officers Association. So for a few minutes, I'd like just to put in perspective what that really meant for recruiting. I was a part of the recruiting that started at the Naval Academy and expanded out to the Naval ROTC units and throughout the recruiting apparatus of the Marine Corps. It was discovery for me was, why do I stay? I came to this organization highly recruited to diversify it, but it was very, very conservative and lack of understanding of me as an African American in the Marine Corps, and to take from that my career development. Well, what happened is I learned 4 major things from NNOA, and that's where I arrived the end point of being Lieutenant General, United States Marine Corps, from that brand new second lieutenant that joined in 1975. It talked to me about character, what diversity really meant in the integration of the services, professional competence, and hard work, and understanding how I contributed to not just the integration, but the professional readiness of those naval services. So happy birthday to you and all of those who are part of this great celebration of an organization that made it possible to understand what the mission was. Again, I look forward to seeing you at the conference and the symposium and discussing these issues further. Thank you.
Congratulations to NNOA on a long and storied journey from an idea that has grown not only in numbers and influence, but into a tangible service-wide impact. Today, NNOA represents 50 years of excellence that has had and continues to have a profound impact on the recruiting, retention, and professional development of minority officers and countless others throughout the sea services. Many NNOA members, through their local chapters and through personal outreach, have engaged in meeting and sharing information with individuals interested in military service opportunities. These structured and impromptu engagements effectively extends the capacity and capability of traditional recruiting into non-traditional recruiting settings and venues, where many more minorities now have access to valuable Navy, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard information. As an NNOA member, each of you is a full-time walking recruiting poster. Clearly, recruiting and retention are directly linked. Chief among the reasons people stay in the service are a sense of belonging, shared values, mutual respect, and importantly, that their voices are heard, valued, and acted on. Over the past 50 years, NNOA has grown from a grassroots idea into a valued partner with a voice and a formal seat at the decision-making table at the highest levels of the sea services. I'm a proud product of NNOA professional development, attending my first meeting in the 70s. It was there I experienced firsthand the very personal mentoring centered on professional development, guidance, and support from subject matter experts who had walked the paths I had yet to traverse. As standard bearers of the profession, they held me accountable. Finally, I'm inspired and awed by the generation of tomorrow's leaders who are in the audience and those yet to join. They will chart the critically important course for NNOA's next 50 years. I challenge those shapers of tomorrow to continue to find and recruit America's best, to retain and challenge them to excel, and to mold and develop them into the professional leaders of tomorrow, as NNOA has done for the past 50 years.
Greetings and congratulations to NNOA on your 50th anniversary. You know, it's hard to believe that it's been over 10 years since I retired as the Chief of Naval Operations, and for those who served with me, know the priority that I placed on diversity, particularly diversity among our officer corps. You know, the question is often asked, is there a need to continue to push for diversity? Absolutely, because there is a need for diversity among the leaders of our Navy, our sea services, and our military more broadly. Because I really do believe, as I said many years ago and continue to believe today, that the leadership of our military must reflect the face of our nation. And the service that NNOA provides, has provided, and will provide is absolutely key. Because NNOA provides the steady hand on the tiller, the keel, the mentoring that is so important, the outreach that makes young people aware of the opportunities and the fulfillment that's available by serving in the Navy. And that's what NNOA does so well. You know, I think that those who are coming along, who are leading today, are facing a much more challenging time than I. And it's going to be an even more challenging future for you. You're going to be confronted with geopolitical challenges, economic challenges, social challenges, and challenges of technology that are really mind-boggling. And that's where NNOA is so important. Not only in mentoring, but in recruiting and reaching down deep into the youth of our nation to make them aware of the opportunities that exist. NNOA has done a magnificent job for 50 years. And I know that as you gather and celebrate your achievements and the camaraderie that comes from being part of this wonderful organization, that you'll chart a course for the next 50 years that will make our Navy, our sea services, and our nation even stronger. So again, shipmates, congratulations, well done, and all the best in all that is ahead. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Major General Brian Kavanaugh, Commanding General, 1st Marine Aircraft Wing here in Okinawa, Japan. Just wanted to welcome you all to the National Naval Officers Association Symposium. I wish I could be with you, but I know Rear Admiral Sink Harris has a wonderful program set for you. I know 50 years ago that the founders of the organization probably weren't thinking about where this organization would be 50 years later. 50 years ago, our nation, our sea services was here in the Pacific. And if you look at our national defense strategy today, it's focused on the Pacific. So as you're all in the program there, forging into the future, I want you to think about where will we be in the next 50 years. Again, I look forward to getting some feedback from your time there. Have a great time at the symposium. Happy 50th and Super Fidelis.
Morning, shipmates. I'm Admiral Charlie Ray, U.S. Coast Guard retired, former Vice Commandant of the service. And I want to congratulate NNOA on 50 years of incredible service. Sorry I can't be there with you today because I really believe in NNOA, and I don't think anybody's done more than the past and present members of NNOA to recruit, retain, and more importantly, mentor young leaders in our services. I'm very thankful for all that NNOA's done, and I'm convinced that we are more diverse, more inclusive, and ultimately more effective in providing for the safety and security of our nation as a result of the work of NNOA. So congratulations on a big birthday, 50 years of incredible service. Wish I could be there with you. God bless you all. Semper Paratus.
Hey everyone, I'm here with former Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral John Richardson, my shipmate from times at OpNav, and we just want to send a shout out to all of the National Naval Officers Association in remembrance of our 50th anniversary.
Sink, I can't believe NNOA is 50 years old. I've just been churning hard for that entire time. They're so lucky to have you as the current president, Sink. So you give the team direction and focus and enthusiasm like you always bring. But I'll tell you what, I can't think of anyone better than NNOA who has done so much to recruit and retain and educate our shipmates in the service and really bring in the diversity we need into our officer corps. So thanks so much for doing that. To NNOA, thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you, sir. Stronger together.
There we go.
Hi, my name is John Greenert, Navy veteran and former Chief of Naval Operations. I want to thank you all at NNOA for providing me this opportunity to share a few thoughts and really just pass along my congratulations and thanks. First, let me say your logo is amazing. I love that logo. It reminds me for the laws of the Navy. One hand for the ship and one hand for the shipmate. Very nice. People of all colors. I want to thank President Sinclair Harris for this opportunity and for serving as president of NNOA and for many years of being a great shipmate of mine. Congratulations, NNOA. 50 years. It's astounding. 5 decades of service. It seems like yesterday when I became aware of NNOA, albeit later in my career, but nonetheless, it still feels like yesterday. So thanks for serving the sea services, particularly our Navy, and helping us pursue the diversity that will make and has made us a powerful service and our most effective service. Also, thank you for the sacrifice of the mentors of NNOA. It's very impressive to see your dedication to your constituents and to our goals for the Navy and its diversity, recruiting, and retention. Lastly, I want to thank NNOA for teaching me how to listen when people talk. I hear a lot, but it's been my time at NNOA events, in the larger events, and most importantly in the seminars, where I've learned to listen more to people. So have a great event at the end of July, a well-earned celebration. Congratulations, and thanks again for this opportunity.
Hi there, everybody. It's retired Rear Admiral Buzz Busby coming to you here today and wishing the National Naval Officers Association congratulations on your 50th annual symposium. Tremendous accomplishment. We are so much better as a Navy and as a Sea Service for your tremendous efforts to recruit, retain, and aid in the career development of so many of our tremendous young officers. The role that you all play in getting the word out about our Navy, our Sea Services, to our young folks out in the community, telling the Navy story, providing scholarships to enable them to fulfill their dreams and to come on board with us, and then to, in the course of their careers, help them along, mentor them, provide career development as they go forward in their careers, thanks to the paths that many of you have blazed for them and are willing to share so generously in your time and in your experience. That community, that sense of community that you bring to our Navy is so critical to ensure that we have, the best people across all of races, colors, creeds, that we get the very best talent, because we need the very best talent in our Navy, given all of the challenges we have facing us today and that are facing us here in the future. We truly need to make sure that we have the greatest people on board, and the roles that you play in doing that is absolutely critical. In my last job working for the government as the administrator of the Maritime Administration, I was very pleased and honored to sign an MOU with the NNOA to cooperate with the Maritime Administration and NNOA in getting the word out and sharing our efforts to bring in, the diverse population of young professionals and professionals to be into our Sea Services, because I realized very quickly that we absolutely needed to have tremendous people, tremendous talent. So thank you so much to all of you that participate in NNOA in whatever capacity. You're adding tremendously to the strength of our Sea Services, and you ought to be very, very proud of the great track record that you've accrued over the last 50 years. So congratulations. Have a great symposium. Thank you.
John Mauger has asked me to offer a couple thoughts on my early association with NNOA, and I'll happily do that. But first, let me congratulate them on their 50th anniversary and their extraordinary representation of the interests, expectations, hopes, and fears, as might be the case, of the African American community that serves our nation so well in all uniforms. It was back in 1999, I guess, when it was brought to my attention that there was an opportunity to partner with NNOA in, first of all, attending their conventions and making certain there was an adequate representation of Coast Guard officers there, which we were happy to do and did then, and have, I think, supported all the way through the time to date. Early on, it became an enormous opportunity to give a voice to the African American Officer Corps in the U.S. Coast Guard, to make certain that we in the front office, we in the personnel shops, we in any business adventures that Coast Guard was involved in, had an adequate representation of African American officers, first of all being educated and to gain the skills necessary to participate in all of our activities as a service. And then more importantly, to know that they had a voice that was going to be listened to carefully in the front office of Coast Guard headquarters. So that was our goal, to establish that connectivity from this brand new organization, taking it upon themselves to be a representative of a significant portion of our officer corps, and to help them both organize and make the connections necessary inside the Coast Guard headquarters complex that would yield for them a sense of belonging, a sense of representation, and a sense of actually having a voice in what goes on in this extraordinary service that we all love so very much. So on their anniversary, 50 as it may be, please accept this congratulations from an old sailor who enjoyed immensely being sort of on the ground floor of gathering the NNOA to the fold, so to speak, such that we could listen carefully and frankly deliver messages to them as might be appropriate and helpful as they were putting together their agendas to represent such a significant portion of our officer corps. Congratulations and good wishes on your anniversary.
Hello, shipmates. I'm Admiral Bob Papp, the 24th Commandant of the United States Coast Guard, and I'm delighted to be able to pass on my congratulations today to NNOA on the 50th anniversary of all the great work that you've done for our sea services, the Coast Guard, the Navy, and the Marine Corps. You know, I always look forward during the many years that I served in senior leadership positions to attend the NNOA conference. You held it in some great places, Norfolk, New Orleans, San Diego, and many other places. And as excited as I was to get to those places, I quickly found when I got there that it was all about the people. And it was a tremendous opportunity for me to speak to and listen to a lot of great junior officers, many of whom I've seen now move up into senior leadership positions within our services. And I congratulate all of you. And once again, I commend NNOA for the great work that has been done to mentor all these great officers that have gone forward. I always looked at my visits sort of as a navigation exercise. You know, as a leader, you metaphorically set a track line for your service. You know where you want to get to, and you know generally what course and speed you want to steer. But you need a navigator to be able to take a fix and provide you with recommendations. And I always viewed my visits to NNOA as visiting the navigators, the people who were going to take a fix on our progress and give me recommendations on what we needed to do to stay on course. Now, a good navigator can give you a number of recommendations. One is that you're on course and on speed and just steady as she goes, maintain course and speed. Second is you find yourself slightly off course, and the navigator can offer you a compensating course, something that will parallel your track line and keep you in safe waters. If you're relatively badly off course, they can give you a corrective course, which is to adjust your speed and your steering in order to get you back on track and catch up to where you want to be. And then finally, if the navigator finds you in really tough position in foul waters, you can make a recommendation to either slow, stop, or back down and until you can find yourself and get yourself out of danger and back on course. Fortunately, I think during my visits to NNOA, I got plenty of navigational advice, and very seldom did we get recommendations to maintain course and speed, and that was good. We got a lot of recommendations for compensating courses and correcting courses, and I also feel good that very seldom did we get anybody that recommended that we back down completely. So I want to thank you for giving me advice during the time period that I visited NNOA. I hope you keep up your great work for another 50 years, and I want to wish you all the best, fair winds to all my shipmates, and Semper Paratus. Thank you.
Good morning. This is Rear Admiral Retired Gene Kendall welcoming you to the 50th anniversary of the founding of this great organization, NNOA. We are the premier mentoring, recruiting, and career development program for the young officers that have crossed the path of any brow in the Navy in a very short period of time, and we're grateful and thankful for the opportunity. Enjoy this week of fellowship, reminiscing, and just catching up with who is what, doing what, and just having fun. Annapolis welcomes you, and we are looking forward to just checking in. God bless you, and have a great week.
Greetings from Coastal Carolina. Admiral Harris and fellow members of our nation's sea services, congratulations as you gather in the great American seaport community of Annapolis, Maryland. Free and open sea lanes of communication and our continued adherence to the post-Second World War rules-based international order hasn't been more critical in decades. And the 2020 Tri-Service Maritime Strategy Advantage at Sea accentuated the importance of optimizing the strategic employment of America's collective naval capabilities. As NNOA marks its 50th anniversary at this year's symposium, I'm not sure your work and mission have ever been more important or relevant. As the Coast Guard's 26th and immediate past Commandant, let me add both my congratulations and, more importantly, my gratitude to NNOA for staying steadfast in advancing your three core missions of recruiting, retention, and career development. NNOA's mission and vision are absolutely in sync in support of the Coast Guard's quest to be a service increasingly representative of the diverse nation our Coast Guardsmen are privileged to serve. NNOA understands and is committed to strengthening a diverse senior officer corps to enhance the operational readiness of our sea services. NNOA has been truly supportive of our respective services' diversity and inclusion efforts. My good friend Sink has personally supported many of our Coast Guard capstone D&I events. And NNOA continues to be a stalwart in fostering professional development and mentorship, including coaching, advocacy, and the generating and nurturing of a sense of belonging in the nation's sea services. These efforts on both the national and regional levels serve to strengthen NNOA and the sea services from within our collective lifelines, while also exposing future naval surface leaders through STEM outreach and other impactful initiatives to the rich opportunities available in our nation's sea services. So let me wrap up with my most hearty congratulations on this 50-year, half-century milestone. Celebrating 50 years validates the enduring impact and the value of this strategically purposeful organization. And let me add my personal gratitude and my thanks to Admiral Harris and all of NNOA's national and regional level leaders, including our extraordinary Coast Guardsmen, for your superlative efforts. The Coast Guard couldn't have a better partner moving forward to strengthen our naval forces by building a naval force representative across all ranks of the rich and diverse nation you serve. Godspeed, Semper Paratus.
Well, first of all, a big hello to my good shipmate, Sink Harris. Sink, you've done a great job with this organization, and I pass on my thanks and the thanks, I think, of everybody in the sea services for what you've been able to accomplish. I pass on my hearty congratulations on the 50th anniversary of NNOA. You've done an extraordinary job over the last half century of bringing people together, having conversations that matter, and focusing on the things that bring us together and not divide us. I've always used a nautical metaphor to describe the value of diversity in organizations and how we make decisions. And the analogy is basically a nautical fix, where you want different lines of position spread apart to give you a higher fidelity, more robust solution. And NNOA has provided that diversity of viewpoints that helps all of us succeed and look to our organizations to be more diverse, inclusive, and more even-handed and equitable in how we execute our programs. I congratulate everybody on the event that's occurring. I'm sorry I can't be there, but I want you to know that as a former Commandant of the Coast Guard, I fully support everything you do, and I salute you on the extraordinary job you've done and what you're going to be able to do for the country in the future. Good luck.
Congratulations to NNOA on its 50th anniversary. I wish that I could be there in person to help you celebrate such a momentous occasion. I remember becoming a life member of NNOA 34 years ago at the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, California. Our main purpose then, as it remains today, is to help increase the diversity in the officer corps of the sea services. Over the past 50 years, NNOA has been involved with recruiting and providing scholarships to countless young men and women. NNOA has also provided and facilitated mentoring, coaching, and advocacy for its members. Finally, NNOA has consistently held leadership and career development symposiums and conferences similar to the one conducted this week. Once again, congratulations. And I know that our wonderful organization that began right there in Annapolis, Maryland, will continue to be that beacon of hope for diverse officers who want to excel in the sea services for the next 50 years and beyond. Thank you and enjoy the conference.
Greetings, I'm Annie B. Andrews, Rear Admiral, United States Navy, retired, and former Assistant Administrator for Human Resources at the Federal Aviation Administration. I just want to say congratulations to the National Naval Officers Association for 50 years of excellence, expertise, and experience. I am so proud to be a lifetime member. I couldn't be with you this time in person, but I'm wishing the very best and just want to say to the United States Marine Corps, the United States Navy, the United States Coast Guard, members that are active or retired, our reserves, and of course, our civilians and government service workers that make it the best in the world. I wish you only a great time. I proudly here wearing the t-shirt, which is awesome, and I just want to wish you all the very best. Continue to do great things for your country, for yourself, and for the future generations to come. Congratulations.